Welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at family and relationships,
Ooh.
which are so important to all of us. And
Yeah,
we have this really cool blog post that we're using as like a guide for today's conversation. And I'm super excited to jump in.
you too? I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, so this blog post calls family the bedrock of human existence,
I like that.
which I think is so true. It's like our first school.
It is. It's where we learn everything, like how to interact, how to love, how to deal with conflict.
Right. And like how to be a person in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah,
All of that comes from those early experiences in our family unit.
so true. And it shapes like everything about us.
It really does. Our
Yeah.
communication styles, our
Those
values,
personality.
even like how we view the world,
Mm.
our outlook on life.
Yeah, but family's not like a one-size-fits-all thing, right?
No, definitely not.
Mhm.
There's so many different types of families out there.
Like, what are some?
Well, you've got your nuclear families, extended families, single-parent families, blended families.
Right.
All kinds of variations. And each structure has its own unique challenges and rewards.
Oh, that's interesting. Like,
Little bit.
like, what are some examples of how those different family structures would influence how we, like, develop as people?
Well, think about a child raised in a multi-generational household versus a child raised in a nuclear family.
Oh, okay.
The multi-generational family structure often exposes children to a much wider range of perspectives and traditions,
That's true.
and even conflicts,
Yeah.
which can really help them develop resilience and adaptability.
Like, from a young age.
Yeah, exactly. From a young age, they're learning to navigate different viewpoints and different ways of doing things.
I never thought of it that way. That makes sense.
So the blog post goes on to talk about 3 key benefits of having a supportive family structure, no matter what form that family takes.
Oh, I like that. And what are those?
Emotional security,
Okay.
a cultural and moral foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and a solid support system.
Those are all so important. I feel like
Mhm.
we could do a whole episode on each one of those. But let's start with that first one. Emotional security. What does that even mean, like, in a family?
So think of family as like a secure base, a safe harbor.
Okay.
It's a place where you feel loved and accepted unconditionally,
Even when you mess up.
especially when you mess up.
Yeah.
It's knowing that no matter what you do, your family's going to be there for you.
Yeah, that's huge.
Right. It's that feeling of belonging that really helps kids develop self-esteem and emotional resilience.
Because they know they always have that safe place to land.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you have that secure foundation, you're more likely to venture out into the world with confidence and a strong sense of self.
That's powerful. Okay, what about that cultural and moral foundation? What is that all about?
So it's kind of like an inheritance.
Okay.
Family traditions, beliefs,
More of
values.
the good stuff.
Yeah, all the good stuff. It helps us answer those big questions like, where do I come from?
And what do I stand for?
Exactly. It gives us a sense of identity and purpose.
And it connects us to something bigger than ourselves.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be really comforting in a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain.
That's so true. Okay, and the last one was the support system. What kind of support are we talking about here?
It can be anything from practical assistance, like financial aid during tough times,
Mm.
to emotional encouragement when you're chasing your dreams.
It's like having a built-in cheering section.
It is. And a safety net.
Exactly. Both are so important.
Yeah, knowing you have people in your corner who genuinely believe in you can make all the difference.
It's like having an extra reserve of strength to draw from.
I like that. An extra reserve of strength.
Because you know you're not alone in facing life's challenges.
Right. And that support can be crucial in helping individuals overcome adversity and achieve their full potential.
Well said. Now, this blog post doesn't just talk about family, though, right? It goes beyond that.
It does. It also talks about relationships in a broader sense.
Like what?
Romantic relationships.
Friendships.
Yeah.
Even like work relationships.
Yeah. Even work relationships. It's
Mhm.
fascinating how those same principles of family, respect, trust, communication,
Yeah.
they seem to apply across the board.
It's like they're the universal language of healthy relationships.
Exactly. No matter the context, those principles are essential for building strong and lasting connections.
So true. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about those key ingredients in more detail.
Okay.
Respect, trust, and communication. Are they all like equally important, or is there one that's kind of like the foundation?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
They're all definitely intertwined,
Yeah.
but I think communication is the key.
Okay.
It's the foundation for building trust and fostering empathy.
That makes sense. You
Yeah.
can't really have a healthy relationship without open and honest communication.
Yeah.
So what does good communication actually look like?
What's more than just talking?
I was going to say.
It's about really listening
Yeah.
and trying to understand the other person's perspective.
Like active listening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not just waiting for your turn to speak, but really trying to hear what they're saying.
And also being able to express your own thoughts and feelings clearly.
Yes, even when it's difficult.
Oh, especially when it's difficult.
Right, because that's where trust comes in.
Trust is so important.
Trust is about feeling safe enough to share your authentic self without fear of judgment or rejection.
It's like a bridge that connects people
Beautiful analogy.
and allows for deeper intimacy and understanding.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got communication and trust. What about empathy? How does that fit into this equation?
Yeah. Empathy is a big one.
It is. It's about stepping into the other person's shoes.
And seeing the world through their eyes.
Exactly. It's about understanding their motivations, their emotions.
Even when you don't agree with them.
Even when you don't agree with them. That's the key. It's about trying to connect with them on a deeper level.
And that's what allows for compassion and understanding, especially when you're dealing with disagreements or conflicts.
Yeah.
Okay, this is all making sense. But relationships aren't always easy, right? Like, this blog post talks about some of the challenges that relationships face.
It does. Especially in today's world.
Yeah.
There are a lot of pressures that constrain relationships,
Like what?
like the struggle for work-life balance
Oh, yeah, that's a big
and the
one.
double-edged sword of technology.
Okay, let's unpack those one at a time.
Okay.
So first, work-life balance. How does that impact our relationships?
When work demands dominate our time and energy,
Yeah.
it leaves little room for nurturing our personal connections.
It's like we're constantly being pulled in a million different directions.
Exactly. And eventually something's got to give.
And it's often the relationships that suffer.
Unfortunately, yes. We might miss important dates or be less present during conversations.
Or just be too exhausted to engage with our loved ones.
Exactly. And that can lead to resentment on both sides.
That's so true. So how do we prevent that from happening?
Well, communication is key.
There it is again.
Right. We need to have open and honest conversations about those work-life struggles.
And find ways to prioritize quality time together.
Exactly. Even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
It's about making that effort.
It is. It's about showing your loved ones that they matter.
Okay. What about technology? How is that a double-edged sword?
Well, on the one hand, technology allows us to connect with people all over the world.
That's true.
We can video chat with family members who live far away,
Share updates on social media.
stay in touch more easily than ever before.
Yet it can also be a distraction.
Absolutely. The constant notifications, the endless scrolling,
To binge watching.
all of that can steal precious time away from face-to-face interactions.
It's like we're surrounded by people but feeling utterly alone.
The blog post calls it the illusion of connection,
Ooh, I like that.
mistaking online engagement for genuine intimacy.
So how do we navigate this digital landscape without losing those vital human connections?
It's all about setting boundaries,
That's what?
creating tech-free zones or times, being more mindful of our screen time.
And making a conscious effort to prioritize face-to-face interactions.
Exactly. It's about reclaiming control over our technology instead of letting it control us.
Makes sense. Now, the blog post also talks about another challenge that relationships face,
Okay.
and that's evolving cultural landscapes.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
How do those shifts impact relationships today?
Well, societal norms and values are constantly evolving,
Right.
and that can create friction, especially within families where different generations might have very different perspectives.
Yeah, like think about the shifting attitudes towards gender roles.
Or marriage.
Or even career paths.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of those things can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts if we're not careful.
It sounds like navigating those generational gaps requires a lot of patience and understanding,
It does. It's about finding common ground.
while still acknowledging and respecting those differences in perspective,
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we're all on our own journeys.
and that those journeys are constantly intersecting and influencing each other.
It's exactly.
Now, the blog post also addresses something that's often overlooked,
What's that?
and that's the impact of mental health on relationships.
Oh, yeah, that's a crucial one.
It is. How does mental health factor into the equation?
Well, when one person is struggling with stress, anxiety, depression,
Any kind of a mental health challenge.
yeah, any kind of mental health challenge,
Yeah.
it inevitably impacts the entire dynamic of the relationship.
It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly. And it can be challenging to separate the mental health challenge from the relationship itself.
Yeah, because sometimes the symptoms of a mental health condition can look like relationship problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For example, someone experiencing anxiety might withdraw from social situations,
Right.
and their partner might feel neglected or unimportant.
Even though that wasn't the intention.
Right. It's not
What?
about blame, it's about understanding.
In communication.
Always communication.
Yeah,
And sometimes it might be necessary to seek professional help.
that's a good point.
A therapist can provide tools and strategies for coping with mental health challenges, improving communication patterns.
And strengthening the overall foundation of the relationship.
Exactly.
It's not a sign of weakness to ask for help.
Absolutely. It's a sign of strength.
It shows that you're committed to your relationship and to your own well-being.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful look at the importance of family and relationships and the complexities they face.
It has.
But I know the blog post doesn't stop there.
It doesn't.
It also offers some practical tips for nurturing stronger bonds.
It does.
Should we dive into those?
Absolutely. I'm eager to hear what they are.
Okay, awesome. We'll jump right into that in our next segment.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned.
Can't wait.
Okay, so we've talked about why family and relationships are so important. Now let's get into the how.
The nitty-gritty.
Exactly. Like, what can we actually do to nurture these bonds and make them stronger?
Yeah, great question.
So what's the first piece of advice that this blog post gives us?
Well, it starts with prioritizing quality time.
Okay, but what does that even mean? Like, I feel like I hear that all the time.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's easier said than done.
Right, because it's not just about being physically present.
Exactly. It's about being fully present.
Like mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, engaged in the moment.
So how do we actually do that? Like, what are some examples of quality time?
Well, think about those moments that bring a smile to your face when you reminisce about them,
Okay.
like a spontaneous road trip
Huh.
or a heartfelt conversation over coffee,
Those are the good ones.
or even just playing a board game with your family.
Right.
It's about creating shared experiences.
No matter how big or small.
Exactly. Those are the building blocks of strong relationships.
So it's not about the quantity of time, but the quality.
Precisely.
It's about making the most of the time you have together.
And being present in those moments.
Putting down the phones.
Yes. Turning off the distractions.
And really connecting with the people in front of you.
It's amazing how much of a difference that can make.
Yeah, those little gestures of genuine attention and presence can really make your loved ones feel seen and heard.
Absolutely.
Okay, so prioritizing quality time. That's a good one. What else?
The blog post also talks about the power of expressing gratitude.
Oh, yeah, gratitude is huge these days.
It is,
Yeah,
but it's more than just saying thank you.
right. It's about really feeling it and expressing it to the people we care about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about appreciating the people in our lives and taking the time to show them that appreciation.
Like how?
It could be a handwritten note,
Oh, that's sweet.
or a heartfelt compliment,
Those are always good.
or even just acknowledging the small everyday things they do that often go unnoticed.
Right, like just saying, hey, thanks for doing the dishes.
Exactly. It's about shining a light on the positives.
Instead of dwelling on the negatives.
And that can make a huge difference in the overall atmosphere of a relationship.
Imagine receiving a note from someone you love expressing their appreciation for something specific you did.
Ah,
That would feel pretty amazing.
it would. It's a reminder that we're valued and appreciated.
And that can be so affirming.
Absolutely.
Okay, so quality time gratitude. What's next on the list?
Well, the blog post then dives into the often dreaded territory of conflict resolution.
Oh boy, conflict. No one likes to talk about conflict.
But it's an inevitable part of any relationship.
It's true.
So we might as well learn how to deal with it constructively.
Is the blog post saying we should try to avoid conflict altogether?
Not at all.
Okay, good, because that doesn't seem very realistic.
No, it's not about avoiding conflict.
Okay.
It's about shifting from a blame-oriented mindset to a solution-focused approach.
That's interesting. So how do we actually make that shift?
Well, it takes self-awareness
Yeah,
and emotional maturity.
that's tough.
It can be, but it's worth it.
So what are some strategies for resolving conflict constructively?
The blog post suggests active listening.
There it is again.
Right. Really trying to understand the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree with it.
And expressing your own needs and feelings in a clear and respectful manner.
Exactly. It's about finding a resolution that works for everyone involved.
It's not about winning an argument.
It's about choosing connection over being right.
I like that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that saying, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Sometimes choosing understanding over ego is the key to a healthier relationship.
So true.
But what about those situations where things feel really stuck?
Yeah.
Like when communication breaks down and conflicts escalate.
That's when it might be helpful to seek professional help.
Okay.
A therapist can provide a safe and neutral space to explore those issues.
And develop healthier communication skills.
Exactly. It's not a sign of weakness to ask for help.
Right. It's actually a sign of strength.
It shows that you're committed to your relationship and to your own well-being.
Okay, so we've got quality time, gratitude, conflict resolution, and seeking professional help when needed.
Those are some great tips.
They are. But the blog post doesn't end there, does it?
It doesn't.
It also talks about the importance of love and forgiveness.
Oh, yeah. Love and forgiveness. Those are the glue that holds relationships together.
Especially when things get tough.
Exactly. They help us weather the storms.
But what do love and forgiveness actually look like in a relationship?
Well, love in its truest form is about acceptance.
Okay.
It's about accepting our loved ones' flaws and
creating a space where they feel safe to do the same.
exactly. It's about embracing those imperfections as part of what makes the relationship unique.
And forgiveness.
Forgiveness is about letting go of resentment.
Okay.
It's about choosing to move on from the past and focus on healing and rebuilding trust.
It sounds like forgiveness is more about our own internal process than about the other person.
That's a great point. It's about choosing to release those negative emotions that can poison a relationship.
And hinder our own emotional well-being.
Exactly. It's a gift we give ourselves as much as the other person.
This is all so insightful.
That is right.
We've covered so much ground today.
Yeah, from the importance of communication and empathy to the power of gratitude and forgiveness.
And how these principles can be applied to all our relationships.
Not just family.
Exactly. It's about connecting with each other on a deeper level.
And building strong and lasting bonds.
This blog post has given us so much to think about.
It has.
But I'm curious, does it leave us with any final words of wisdom?
It does. It ends with a thought-provoking question. How can you actively apply these insights to nurture your own relationships and build a legacy of love and support for future generations?
Wow, that's powerful.
It is. It's a call to action.
It's a reminder that we have the power to shape our relationships.
And create a positive ripple effect in the world.
I love that. Yeah, it really is a call to action. It's like we've been given this amazing roadmap for building stronger relationships.
I love that analogy. A roadmap.
Yeah, and now it's up to us to actually follow it.
To put in the effort.
To do the work.
To make those conscious choices that nurture our connections.
And it's a journey, right? It's not like we just arrive at some destination and then we're done.
No, it's an ongoing process.
With ups and downs.
Twists and turns.
But that's what makes it so beautiful.
It does. It's the journey that matters.
It's about showing up for each other through thick and thin.
Exactly.
Yes.
Through the good times and the bad.
Celebrating the victories.
And supporting each other through the challenges.
And giving each other grace along the way.
Yeah, we're all going to make mistakes.
We're all human.
We're all works in progress.
It's about learning and growing together.
And that's what makes relationships so special.
Absolutely. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
We've explored so much about family and relationships.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
But most importantly, we've talked about how to make those connections stronger.
And more fulfilling.
I hope our listeners feel inspired to take what they've learned and apply it to their own lives.
Me too. Even small changes can make a big difference.
So true. It's those little moments of connection that really matter.
The hugs, the laughter, the shared experiences.
The simple act of listening.
All of it adds up.
It creates a ripple effect of positivity.
That spreads outward into the world.
And that's what it's all about.
It is.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of what truly matters.
It was a pleasure being here.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep nurturing those precious bonds that make life so rich and meaningful.